We met at work. I was working in a high school, and Carla, we were both doing admin in a high school, and we got to know each other because of we're both sort of geeks and into Star Wars movies and things like that, and we started spending our lunch hours together, and it sort of blossomed from there. Yeah.
He was quite grumpy when I first met him. You know, when I was temping, and you know, when they take you around your workplace and they introduce you to everyone, they introduced me to Peter. He was sitting at his computer, and he just went at me. But I noticed they had Star Wars pictures up on the walls of his office, so I knew we were going to at least get on well. And I didn't dare hope that this gorgeous guy who worked in the office next door would ever consent to go out with me or anything, but he did. And it's the most amazing thing that ever happened to me. We have a day that we call Fateful Coffee Day, where we kind of confessed our feelings to each other, and yeah, I think that was the first time I knew that Peter was really something special and amazing.
We'd been sort of having lunches together and sort of spending a lot of time at work together, and it was a little bit weird for me because it didn't feel right that I was in growing more affectionate towards Carla when she was with someone, and it felt really awkward. So I sort of felt it was important to draw a line in the sand and say, look, let's have coffee so I can talk to you about the way that I'm feeling, and it worked out brilliantly. But the kind of relationship that you're in wasn't really what I thought it was, and I won't explain that, but it worked out really well that we were both capable of having that affection.
We kind of yell "It's Fateful Coffee Day" on the date it happened every year, but we don't do anything special. More special things to us are kind of like our wedding anniversary and things like that.
And transplant day.
And transplant day.
Kidneyversary.
6 years nearly we've been together.
We've just had our third wedding anniversary. So. I got it wrong. I got it wrong on the day. I got it wrong 2 weeks ago, and you corrected me, and I got it wrong just there. We'll definitely redo that question. So anyway, we celebrate our fourth wedding.
Well, I've been a kidney patient since I was a teenager. I was first diagnosed when I was 19. My first kidney transplant failed in 2006. So Peter had never known me fully well. Had you? He took me on with all that. My kidney had failed, and I was just starting back on dialysis. In fact, I think we had, was it about 3 or 4 months as a couple before I had to go back on dialysis.
Yeah, I remember you sort of explaining that your health was going to deteriorate. And sort of held the door open for me to do a run.
I did. I gave you a booklet.
Yes.
That said, this is what's going to happen, and this is how it is, and you don't have to be with me. And after some consideration, was it consideration?
No, well, it's incredibly cheesy, but I sort of knew that you were the perfect person for me. So.
Don't make me cry on camera.
Oh, well, the story, we're only just starting to tell the story.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, anyway.
So I was having overnight dialysis, which is where you have a machine in your own home and you dialyse overnight for about, well, it's anything between 8 and 10 hours. The hospitals in London are terribly overcrowded, and my first transplant came from Liverpool, and I said to Peter, I'm going to have to go back home and get my transplant at the transplant centre where I was first done. So I dragged him all the way from London, all the way to Chester. Now, he's not from here, he's Australian, so that was a pretty big move for him because most of his friends were in London. But he came with me, which was awesome. And then I dialysed for about 3.5, 4 years after that, and then I got a kidney, but there's a story behind that as well. Because I've had blood transfusions and 1 transplant already, I have a really high what's the word, antibody level.
Antibody count in your
Yeah,
blood. So.
yeah. So it was probable that I wasn't going to get another kidney from the donor list, which meant that either family or a friend or an altruistic donor had to donate to me, a living donor. And my family weren't suitable, so Peter stepped up. I wasn't very happy about it, was I?
Yes,
I fought it every step of the way.
Yes. A number of conversations about it, and I was able to use the trump card that if I was similarly ill, nothing would stop you from donating.
Which is true.
That shut you up pretty quick.
Yeah, it did. I had no arguments left after that. So Peter had all the initial tests, but he's not a match for me. We're a completely different blood type. So the coordinator, our transplant coordinator, Jean Shalcross, said, we can put you in for paired donation, which is something that a lot of people don't know about, which is when Peter donates a kidney to somebody else who has a non-matching donor, but that donor would be a match for me. So we'd in effect swap kidneys. And what happens is you go into this kind of computer matched lottery, don't you?
Yeah,
and then you get your name called out like 3 times a year. So they do it 3 times a year. And if somebody is a suitable match for you and you're a match for them, then you hopefully get that transplant. We had a call the first time we did it, and unfortunately I fell at the last hurdle, didn't I? Because my bad blood. My last blood test just showed too many antibodies. And then we waited about another 2 years after that, wasn't it?
Yeah. And your health really deteriorated.
Yeah.
Dialysis it's really hard work, and it was a real struggle for you. At one point, we were quite close to losing you. You had a stroke and spent a good part of a fortnight in the intensive care unit.
I don't remember any of this.
Yeah.
But you do. I'm so sorry.
Yes, apologise for having a stroke. That's the kind of person you are. But yeah, when we got the call, it's an incredible process or an incredible feeling, because there's that opportunity, that chance that you won't have to go through this dialysis anymore and you get your life back. But you need to suppress that hope until you're on the table, and even after until you've woken up from having the operation, when there's actually a functioning organ inside of you.
Actually a chance that you can go under anaesthetic and wake up and the operation hasn't happened. It's very rare, but it can happen with those very last minute blood tests. Fortunately, it all went ahead. Kidneys were kind of being driven all over the country. The kidney swap we had was between 3 lots of people. One lot in Liverpool, that was me and him, one lot in Nottingham, and one lot in London.
Yeah.
So kidneys kind of zipping all over the country on that day. And that was 2nd of June 2010?
Yeah. And 6 people got lives back from one operation or a series of operations.
Yeah.
It's just, fantastic.
All I know about the donor, it was a gentleman who was slightly older than me. I can't really speculate, but if I do ever speculate, I'm guessing it was maybe an older relative who wanted to donate maybe to a child or a nephew or a niece. But I think about him a lot, and I hope that the person he donated for is doing as well as me. The last we heard, everybody in our chain was doing really well. So yeah, I think of them a lot, and I think of him especially, but everybody on that day who donated and received kidneys, and anybody who does that or decides through their own tragedy that they would like their relatives' organs to be donated, each one of those people, and it sounds like such a cliche, but it's not, each one of those people is a hero. And so selfless that it's overwhelming. And now we can just go wherever we want. If we need to stay out for the night, I just need to take my tablets with me in a little box, and we're done. We do sports together, don't we? We do archery.
Yeah. Like field archery, it's like you're marching through the woods, and that occasionally you try to come down when you're on dialysis, and the amount of energy that it took you to do half the course, you were wiped out for a good couple of days afterwards.
Yeah.
Now you're only wiped out for the afternoon.
But I went to the Transplant Games last year. I won a gold in archery. No one was more surprised than me, which is great. I'm going again this year. That's in about a month's time.
You swim every day?
I swim every day. I'm doing swimming at the Transplant Games this year as well, for my sins. I'm starting my own business. I feel well enough to, just whenever we planned anything when I was on dialysis, whenever we planned to do anything, guaranteed I'd be ill and in hospital, including what day?
Wedding day, yes. I can't remember exactly what you were in for, but so an infection in your belly area there, and the hospital staff, all of the female nurses worked extremely hard to make sure that this young girl got to her wedding on time.
It was
fantastic.
So the night before the wedding, I was taken into hospital with peritonitis, and I begged them to let me out. It's like, I'm getting married today. I am not joking. I'm getting married today. Please let me go home. And I was very lucky, like you say, they worked really hard and let me go. Yeah. But now, if we can plan things, and very rarely do we have our plans scuppered by anything. And if we do have a plan scuppered, it's by something really normal, like
I had
a cold. I had a bit of a stomach upset the other day, and that ruined my swimming for last week, didn't it? So, anyone can have that. So, yay.
Well, we are planning for the future.
We didn't before.
I think
there was no point. We didn't know that you're just. It's just a day-to-day grind of trying to be as well as possible in possibly the worst circumstances.
And gradually getting less well.
And just kind of crawling through the days. And now we can think about a future. We can think about buying a house and
Well, you're
all that kind of thing.
Working to get a business established and are attacking it, all of those various things that you need to do. With a full sense of what you're doing and with a vision and a goal. So
it gives you back a zest for life rather than, like I said, just surviving. You actually feel like living. And I remember when I got out of hospital and was just feeling fantastic, and I actually put on my Facebook status, "Oh my God, is this how you all feel? How can you all moan when you all, this is how you feel every day? Warm, for one thing. I was so cold for 4 years." And well, and like every day when you wake up, it's such a gift, and every night when you go to bed, it's amazing. You don't have to go on the machine. You look forward to waking up the next day, when before it was, it's such a grind. It was really hard just staying alive.
Here's a weird one. During dialysis, of course, you stopped weeing.
Yeah. Where are you going with this?
Well. You now pee.
Yes, I do. Now I pee. There you go.
And that's keeps you healthy. It gets that's kind of what the is for. But you know what I mean. Like it's such a mundane thing.
Yeah, it's something that people
most often an inconvenience
for
people, but it's a cause of celebration for yourself.
Yeah, I really enjoy peeing. It's great. Peter is everything to me. He's my hero. He's my support. He's the love of my life. He's everything I ever dreamed of as a child when I thought of who my husband would be. He was there for me the whole time. Not one time did he ever complain or let me down or kind of get angry or grumpy or disappointed in me. I just adore you and sloppy. And I think our relationship is so much stronger because of what we've been through. And every day I marvel at his courage and his amazingness. I don't even know if that's a word, but that's what you are.
I've got nothing to contribute to that.
Sorry. I know a lot of people are concerned about certain issues, saying, "Oh, the hospital might turn my machine off if they know I'm an organ donor." The fact is that you're much more likely to need an organ than ever asked or be considered to donate one. And if you have someone in your life that you really care about, and you couldn't stand to see them ill or dying, then I think everyone should sign the register. It's probably one of the most important decisions you'll ever make.
You were already quite unwell when we first started seeing each other, and it's only really been since the transplant that you've been able to be the person that you are, like do the sorts of things that you've wanted to do and to share your life with me. So to have that opportunity, but basically I didn't really have a wife when you were on dialysis in the way that everybody else sort of does. Yeah. So having gone through that, very easy, like everybody, it's kind of weird, everybody said to me about how brave I was to donate my organ, but it was actually really, really easy. I just laid on this slab and had really skilled medical staff take excellent care of me, and it hasn't affected my health in any way, and I've got this cute little scar across my belly button, and that's it. What I've got from that is a life of experiences with my wife. So it's just fantastic, just astonishing.
That's pretty much the way I feel. I think now I can be the wife that you deserve, and I think